This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
Joining me now is John Brummett of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Always good to spend a morning with you. Thank you for being here.
Good to be here as
always. You look very rested after watching a almost 5-hour Wimbledon match yesterday.
It was exhausting.
Just watching it was exhausting.
Yes,
so,
it was.
But you're a big tennis buff. How exciting was that to watch?
It's one of the great
the
matches.
Old guy almost pull it off.
Well, it was one of the great matches of all time, one of the 2 or 3 best I've ever seen. But the sort of the subtext or the overriding narrative of Federer's age and then all the royals and the celebrities in the stands. Even my wife, who has no sports interest, sat down and got intrigued by it. So it was quite an event.
It was one of those, one for the ages and
I
one
think so.
for all audiences there.
I think so.
Let's shift our attention but stay in the sports realm here. We have done some polling in Northwest Arkansas to find out some attitudes from some Benton and Washington County residents and voters up there. And the subject of having booze at Razorback games, football games, basketball games, baseball games comes up. 42% say they're for it, 48% against it. I sense that those numbers might not be 100% accurate. What's your take? Should we have beer and wine at Razorback games?
There is beer and wine at Razorback games. There's whiskey.
Inside the
Have you ever gone to a tailgate? We have evolved into a culture. I once referred to Arkansas as a tailgate party masquerading as a state. And a tailgate party, that's the culture, particularly in the one game left at Little Rock, but in Fayetteville as well. I'm persuaded, I read a quote from Hunter Urachek,
very good,
our athletic director, who said he was inclined to think alcohol sales for the first 3 quarters to all legal age people with a nice price on it would be, he thought would be a good idea. He said it might lessen the binge drinking at the end of tailgate, and they could control it with the price and by discontinuing it after 3 quarters. Fine. But this is a classic, your findings. I mean, you know, Dick Morris, a political consultant for Clinton, once said that Clinton was Saturday night Bill, Sunday morning Bill. And that's not just Clinton, but that's Arkansas.
Yeah.
Well,
describe that for people that aren't familiar with that.
Well, on Saturday night, you might carouse. You might drink a little bit. You might dance. You might do other things. But on Sunday morning, many people will show up for church and do that element of their lives. And this question, and there's a sort of a contradiction in that, a little bit maybe. And this question sort of revealed it. It's 48-42. Are you Saturday night ball game or are you Sunday morning? And also your demographic breakdown. And I don't know whether the samples are big enough to mean anything, but it was hilarious to me. Males more than females want drinking. Young people more than older people want drinking in the stadium. Democrats and liberals want drinking more than conservatives and Republicans, which tells me that a young white male liberal wants booze in that stadium more than anybody else. Unfortunately, there is no young white male liberal in Arkansas at present with which I'm acquainted. Not to dismiss your subject as serious. I think it is, but that's the way I read it.
All right. We also asked the question about Sarah Sanders running for governor. Would that be good or bad for Arkansas? This is in a fairly Republican-rich area of the state here in Northwest Arkansas. 37% said it would be good, 40% bad. There were certainly more Republicans than Democrats in that sample. I can tell you by about 8 percentage points, and a pretty healthy independent, which leans Republican these days. So what do you make of those results there, that maybe not quite the lock cinch that we have earlier heard about?
Not to me. I saw that, I know that you may think that, and I saw that Dr. Barth in his analysis said maybe we should delay the coronation. Your breakdown of pure Republican voters in that was what, like 60 or above, or a high number?
It was a high number, yeah.
See, here's the point. The next governor of Arkansas will be chosen in the Republican primary. The Democrats are not going to win anything on a statewide basis in Arkansas as long as rural Arkansas voters are worried that Nancy Pelosi is going to turn us into San Francisco and that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is going to make us give up all our pickups and buy little subcompacts that we have to plug in. That's and that somebody, one or the other, or somebody's going to come get their guns. It's just not going to happen. The action is in the Republican gubernatorial primary, so it matters not in the broad main what that 40% think it'd be bad. It matters that she could probably, with Trump's backing and her daddy's backing and her own celebrity, defeat either or both Griffin and Rutledge, and thus is the nominee. She would win a general election then, much less than Asa Hutchinson would, because she'll have more negative. Also, that's no longer the defining Republican area of the state. Fayetteville is progressive. Bentonville is changing. First district and the 4th district, with white rural conservatives having gone wholesale Republican, are maybe more reflective of statewide Republicanism.
But those are two congressional districts that have massive population losses as well. So.
I know. I'm just telling you, there's still voters down there, and they tend to be, they've gone wholesale Republican. So I remain inclined to fast forward to her coronation. I just do. Not because there aren't a lot of people who are going to be aghast, not because she's not going to be a lightning rod, but I think it's all in the Republican primary, and she has the advantage there, your numbers notwithstanding.
All right. Speaking of Trump, there's always a litany of things to pick from. There's been this immigration rhetoric over the last week or so. Well, I mean, his entire presidency, but ramped up that there's going to be these raids. Then he gets into the spat with the 4 congresswomen and tells them they should go back where they come from. I guess the question is, because this is what's being asked, is that this was a racist comment. Do you think it was a racist comment?
I've been to too many seminars on race to just easily call someone a racist, because that sees inside their heart. And I just whatever Donald Trump's attitude about people racially or color or ethnicities, I can't see it. I can only see what he says and what is demonstrated by his actions. And I think in this case, I accuse him more than racism. I accuse him of just blatant, cynical politics. I think what he's doing here is shoring up is laying the foundation for his re-election campaign, because the immigration issue is what saved him. They make America great again because they're changing our country they are changing our country too much. Going out and doing a roundup which doesn't amount to anything. It's all a political ploy, and what he's trying to do, and he's on Twitter this morning still doing it and advancing it. He wants Pelosi and the Democratic establishment to defend the 4 women, Ocasio-Cortez, the Muslim, and the others. He wants the whole Democratic Party to rush to their defense, to draw this contrast between his vision of America and to feed his base's resentment and tie the Democrats to the more liberal side. I think he's making a not dumb, but a very cynical and wholly and despicable, cynical tactic. More than I'll say that more easily than I will say he's racist in his heart, because I don't know.
But it's calculated, is what you're saying.
That's what I'm trying to say.
It's basically that it's in PR terms or media terms, it's the messaging bait and switch, is what
exactly.
It is. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You just need me to set it up, and then you explain what I'm trying to say. But I believe that's what it's all about, and we'll see if it works. But it's time now for the re-election, and that's what's on everything. After the first year to 18 months of any presidency anymore, it's all about the re-election. We are now within months, and everything on both sides, but certainly on Trump's side, should be considered in that context. It matters not that word went out and they didn't round up as many people as he said. It matters that he said they tried to, and the liberals helped them hide. Do you see what the narrative he tries to create?
Right.
That's what this is all about.
So lastly, you wrote about Medicaid expansion in your column over Sunday, on Sunday. I want you to give readers, our listeners and viewers who have not had a chance to read it yet, give me the synopsis
of what
you're trying to communicate.
Living in some other part of the country,
probably. So.
It's the same theme. Everything's about campaign messaging, all about politics with re-election. Republicans have a new lawsuit to try to undo Obamacare. Their first effort was, well, there's a tax in here that to enforce the mandate, and that's an unconstitutional thing, and the Supreme Court ruled 5-4 that Congress had the authority to tax, so they took out the tax in the tax bill. Then they got a Republican judge in Texas to throw out the whole bill because the tax was taken out, even though the tax was what they thought was illegal. And now it's at the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, a 3-judge panel, 2 of whom are Republican in New Orleans. And what this is about, because whatever happens, this will be stayed. This will be stayed for appeal to Supreme Court, or more likely, I think these two Republicans will vote to affirm in part and remand in part. Affirm that the parts of the law are unconstitutional, but send it back. But the idea is for the Republicans to show everyone that they're still fighting Obamacare, but not have to actually replace it, because that's what they don't have anything to replace it with, and buy some time. And that's cynically, I just think that's what this is all about. The worst thing for the Republicans would be for the Fifth Circuit to affirm everything that the Texas judge ruled, and the Supreme Court not take the case and let the Republicans live with having done away with Medicaid expansion in Arkansas, which hurts UMS and rural hospitals and the state budget, and have people out here with pre-existing conditions no longer federally assured of equitable premiums, no more minimum benefits, no more coverage on your parents till you're 26, and have to come up with something in the re-election season to replace all that. That's not going to happen, but it would almost serve them right, because this is yet another, and today it's all that the Republicans do. The Democrats do cynical things too, but today on that issue, they're just trying to produce a headline that they're getting Obamacare undone, when in fact they don't want to, and they count on the ruling not having immediate effect. It has campaign benefit to feeding their base. You see? We
have John Brummett of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette here to call it like he sees it.
Yeah.
Every beginning of the week.
Can't call it like I don't see it.
Thank you.
All right, see you.
Appreciate it. Mm-hmm. That's all for today's program. I'm Roby Brock. We'll see you next time.
Each day, the promise of our nation begins again. Arkansas and America, moving forward. I help make that promise a reality. It's not for everyone, but people everywhere depend on us.
Oh, I love you too, sweetie.
Trucking delivers, or everything stops. And that's what drives me.
I did.
You'll find us at the end of a lot of long country roads, covering over 60% of the great state of Arkansas. Our 17 electric distribution cooperatives are working day and night to provide reliable, affordable power to over 500,000 homes, farms, and businesses, just like yours. The Electric Cooperatives of Arkansas, your local energy partners.